A young mother, escaping a toxic marriage, finds refuge in her late grandmother's rural home. An unexpected inheritance provides financial security, allowing her to renovate the house and rebuild her life. As she nurtures the neglected garden, she experiences personal growth, overcoming past insecurities and rediscovering her strength. The story illustrates how embracing change and honoring one's roots can lead to personal renewal and a brighter future. Amelia gazed out the window of the weathered rural cottage, observing the dawn breaking over the distant knolls. Though merely a fortnight had passed since she and her 18-month-old daughter, Lily, had sought refuge there, it felt like an eternity. The recollections of her former existence, the crumbled union, incessant belittlement, and abrupt eviction, seemed to belong to another soul in a different lifetime. She inhaled deeply, savoring the familiar aroma of aged timber and wildflowers flourishing in the neglected yard. This place, the abode of her late grandmother Beatrice, served as both a sanctuary and a fresh start. Amelia had always shared a special bond with her grandmother. Beatrice was a resilient woman who had essentially raised her brood single-handedly after her spouse's untimely demise. During Estival breaks, Amelia would spend weeks in this very dwelling, absorbing Beatrice's tales of tenacity and valor. Those summers were the most joyous periods of her youth, brimming with mirth, enlightenment, and unconditional affection. When Beatrice passed on nearly 4 years ago, Amelia was devastated. The anguish of the loss was so profound that she never mustered the courage to revisit the cottage. Now, ironically, it was her sole refuge. A gentle whimper roused her from her reverie. Lily had stirred. Amelia made her way to the improvised nursery where a vintage yet sturdy cot housed her daughter. She lifted the child, relishing the comforting warmth of her tiny form. "Good morning, my darling," she murmured, planting a kiss on Lily's brow. As she prepared a bottle for Lily and brewed coffee for herself, Amelia reflected on the circumstances that had led them here. Her marriage to Nathan, which had begun with such promise, had swiftly deteriorated following Lily's arrival. They had moved into Nathan's parents' residence immediately after the nuptials, a decision Nathan had defended as financially prudent. Initially, Amelia had concurred, believing it to be a temporary arrangement. However, months turned into years, and what was meant to be assistance became a form of confinement. Amelia's in-laws, particularly her mother-in-law, made a point of constantly reminding her of her precarious position in the household. "Another day without contributing to the household expenses, was a frequent remark from her mother-in-law, always accompanied by a malevolent smirk that made Amelia feel diminished and inconsequential. Nathan, for his part, seemed oblivious to his wife's discomfort. To him, not having to worry about rent or mortgage was a blessing, and he disregarded the insinuations and spiteful comments as if they were trivial. When Lily was born, Amelia decided to stay home to care for their daughter. Nathan agreed, stating that as the provider, it was his duty to support the family. But for Amelia, this decision meant losing even more of her agency and autonomy within that household. How could she voice her dissatisfaction if she wasn't contributing financially? Tensions began to escalate. Nathan became increasingly distant, as if his sole role was to bring home a paycheck. The quarrels became frequent, with Nathan admitting he didn't know how to be a father and questioning if he truly desired that life. The breaking point came after a particularly heated dispute. Exasperated, Nathan shouted that if Amelia was so unhappy, she should leave. He wanted a divorce. At that moment, Amelia felt as if the earth had vanished beneath her feet. With Lily in her arms and a few hastily packed bags, she left the house, uncertain of her destination. It was her mother who suggested Grandma Beatrice's house. "It's been vacant for years," she said, "but it could be a good place for you to start anew." And so, with her mother's assistance in the early days, Amelia found herself back in the place she had cherished so much in her childhood, now with her own daughter in her arms. The initial days were challenging. The house was in a state of disrepair, blanketed in dust and requiring numerous fixes, but Amelia was determined. Day by day, she cleaned, organized, and mended what she could. Lily, despite her tender age, seemed to sense her mother's resolve. The usually restless toddler was surprisingly calm while Amelia worked, playing independently or observing her mother with her large, inquisitive eyes. On the third day, while tidying the loft, Amelia discovered an old box brimming with photographs and letters. Among them were several pictures of her as a child, frolicking in the garden with her grandmother. Seeing those images brought tears to her eyes but also instilled a renewed sense of purpose. Beatrice always said that life was composed of highs and lows, and that the crucial thing was to keep your chin up during trying times. That night, after tucking Lily into bed, Amelia sat on the porch, gazing at the stars. For the first time since her arrival, she felt a glimmer of hope. Perhaps, she thought, she could transform this place into a true home for herself and Lily. The following morning, while organizing the kitchen, Amelia decided to check the old postbox at the end of the stone path. To her astonishment, the box was crammed with old letters and documents. Amidst the pile, she found a sealed envelope bearing her grandmother's name. Curious, Amelia opened the envelope and began to read. It was a letter from a solicitor, dated just a few months before Beatrice's passing. As she read, her eyes widened in disbelief. The letter revealed that Beatrice had taken out a private annuity in Amelia's name. Consequently, the value of this annuity had not been divided as inheritance among Beatrice's children. The solicitor explained that Beatrice had specifically chosen this type of investment to secure Amelia's future, and that the funds would be available to her as soon as she discovered the existence of the annuity. With trembling hands, Amelia read the letter several times, scarcely believing what she saw. She recalled how Beatrice always emphasized the importance of being self-reliant and having one's own financial security. Could this be her grandmother's final gift? The next day, leaving Lily in her mother's care, Amelia visited the bank mentioned in the letter. There, she discovered that Beatrice had invested a substantial sum in a private annuity for her, with explicit instructions that the money should be used for the well-being of Amelia and her future children. Sitting in the bank manager's office, Amelia wept. They were not tears of sorrow, but of relief and gratitude. With these funds, she could not only renovate the house but also ensure a stable future for Lily. She could return to education, perhaps even start her own enterprise. In the months that followed, the transformation in Amelia's life was remarkable. The reason why she never knew about this inheritance remained a mystery to everyone. The old country cottage where she and her daughter resided gained new life. Amelia hired professionals to make the necessary repairs but insisted on being actively involved in the process. She personally selected each paint color and every new piece of furniture, always considering creating a welcoming environment for Lily. The garden, once neglected, flourished again. Amelia planted vibrant flowers and even a small vegetable patch. Lily loved playing among the plants, her laughter echoing through the yard, reminding Amelia of her own childhood summers in that same place. As the house transformed, Amelia also felt a change within herself. The insecurity and fear that had dominated her in recent years began to dissipate. In their place, a confidence grew that she hadn't experienced in a long time. She started making plans for the future. She decided that when Lily was a bit older, she would resume her studies, perhaps psychology, something that had always intrigued her, or maybe opening a small bed and breakfast, taking advantage of the region's natural beauty. One day, while playing with Lily in the garden, Amelia received an unexpected call. It was Nathan. His voice sounded hesitant, almost remorseful. He asked how they were doing and said he missed Lily. Amelia took a deep breath before responding. Part of her wanted to scream, to express all the hurt and anger she still felt. But looking at Lily, smiling innocently while chasing a butterfly, she realized that anger no longer had a place in her life. "We're doing well, Nathan," she responded calmly. "Lily is growing up fast. If you'd like, you can come visit her someday." After hanging up, Amelia sat down on the grass, pulling Lily into her lap. She hugged her daughter tightly, inhaling the scent of her hair. "You know, my love," she whispered, "your great-grandmother Beatrice used to say that life is like a garden. Sometimes we need to remove some plants so that others can flourish. But if we're patient and nurture it well, there will always be beautiful blossoms to bring us joy." Lily looked up at her mother with her large, curious eyes, smiling as if she perfectly understood what she meant. That night, after putting Lily to bed, Amelia sat on the porch as she did every evening. She gazed up at the star-studded sky, reflecting on how much her life had changed in such a short time. There were challenges ahead, she knew. Being a single mother wouldn't be easy, but for the first time in a long while, she felt truly at peace. The gentle breeze carried the fragrance of the garden flowers. Amelia closed her eyes, feeling enveloped by her grandmother's love, as if Beatrice were still there, watching over her and Lily. "Thank you, Grandma," she whispered to the night, "for everything." And there on that porch, under the starry sky, Amelia knew that no matter what the future held, she and Lily would be all right. They had each other, they had a home, and they had the strength and wisdom of generations of resilient women coursing through their veins. Tomorrow was bright and full of possibilities, and Amelia could hardly wait to see what it would bring.
If you enjoyed the story, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment with a number from 1 to 5 to let us know how much you liked the story. Also watch the video that is currently on your screen. See you soon.